everybody. Before we dive in today's episode, I want to take a moment and tell you about something that has become a part of my own daily practice, and that is using the Young You Organic White Sage Smudge Spray. Now, if you're like me and appreciate the benefits of energy cleansing but want a smoke-free alternative, this spray is perfect for you. It's made with white sage, clary sage, palo santo, rosemary, and lemongrass essential oils with added sea salt and blue apatite crystals, and it offers all of the powerful cleansing properties of traditional smudging without the need for burning sage. It's quick, it's easy, and it's portable. Whether you're at home, in the car, at work, wherever, this spray can help you clear out negative energy, reset your space, and create a calm, peaceful environment wherever you are. I personally love it before recording these episodes to create a centered, grounded atmosphere. I also use it on my kids before they go to bed. And so if you want to enhance your spiritual practice in a clean, convenient way, check out Young You Organics White Sage Smudge Spray. That's youngyouorganics.com. And a link will be provided in the description. And now let's get into the conversation.
Hello, everyone. We are on another episode of Evolving the Conversation. And yeah, today we were thinking about things to talk about, and we've been talking about things for about an hour before this podcast. And we were thinking about just sharing what we have been learning in the mystery school that we are part of. And one of those is the tenets of sanctuary. And yeah, we're going to talk about that and how we use it in our everyday lives, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So I'm laughing that like I don't know, admitting on the air as if we're what does that even mean? On the air.
The old radio
In
thing where
radio term.
we're going live, and then they'd click that sign and it would say on air.
Are you ever on the air?
Are you? Or is
I
the air
don't
coming
know.
through and all around you?
Yeah, I'm like in the air. I guess like the air is a part of me, but am I ever on it?
Good question. I don't know if there's an answer to that.
Yeah, I guess maybe they meant like, I know what you're saying, like on the airwaves. I'm still not sure I'm on them. I'm in your ears.
That actually makes sense. On the airwaves, like, like when they were broadcasting radio out through the air, and then, could, like
Yeah, like
have
they
that
were,
kicking
yeah,
up on that specific wave.
yeah, like they were putting something out there on the air. Huh. Even then, though, I'm not sure you're on the air, right? Like, and obviously people's understanding of the science or like the construction of the air has changed from when, like you're saying, I don't know, I'm picturing it too in my head, like Annie or something, you know. That came up because my kids were just watching Annie. Um, but that, right, that was like when it was like FDR was president. So that was,
Yeah, that was a radio show, right?
yeah, I think they were like doing some kind of radio show. So that was quite a while ago, like in the early 1900s, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean radio shows, right? Gets me thinking about A Christmas Story with yeah, that you would watch.
Oh yeah, yeah. They would listen to the stuff on the radio there too, right?
Yeah,
You. Well, anyway, I don't know what we were even talking about before that.
on
Oh,
the
on the air. Oh, I was just laughing that we're like recording this podcast and we're like, we're trying to think of things to talk about. No, it really cracks me up for some reason. I mean, I guess we have to come up with a topic, but I'm just letting everyone into our procrastination that we do it like right before the conversation.
sometimes there's a little bit more thought, that sometimes there's less. And I think today we have something good to talk about as far as
Yeah.
yeah, like sanctuary and really what it entails.
Yeah. So we've definitely talked about the sanctuary before. And so it's so many things, right? It's like a definition of reality, the space, philosophy, and interdimensional consciousness technology. I think that's how Hamilton defined it in the Sitter course material.
Yeah, it's like a state of being.
Yeah, I mean it helps to literally reprogram your consciousness, your I guess if we all come in with our consciousness and then it gets programmed through the language and then also through the actions and events that we experience and then make decisions about or make conclusions about in our life, that kind of alters all of our code, not necessarily the operating system. Or would it be the operating system as well?
The operating system's the
Is the
software.
conscious.
Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, like in terms of analogy, I would say it does really affect the coding of our operating system from going from conflict and conflict orientated consciousness to something that's way more peaceful.
mm. Okay. So it is a technology that's designed to, yeah, help evolve the consciousness out of a conflict into, yeah, something way more neutral.
Yeah, and the man who invented it was on the podcast. His name is Hamilton Souther. Just wanted to give credit where credit is due here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, thank God for Hamilton and his creation of Sanctuary or his part in creating and understanding Sanctuary
Yeah,
and developing it right in this precise way where we could all understand it and we could use it in the way that it actually does help to, yeah, like straighten out all of that faulty code that we've been subject to. And it's not only what we've been subject to, but it's like a part of the DNA, really. Like how we've definitely talked about this before, like nature versus nurture. Like you're born into the parents or born from or of the parents that were already receiving all of this like misinformation.
yeah, and I mean that misinformation can go back millennia.
Yeah. I mean, and it's part of the systems. I mean, it's part of everything that we're immersed in.
Yeah, I mean whether we like it or not, and whether we want to accept it or not, the truth of the matter is that the all of the institutions, the way we procure food, our politics, our militaries, and pretty much most of the human species is at war with itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even in religions,
Religions too,
I
right?
mean, yeah, it's just in everything. It really has been what people have been doing since almost since they existed. I think it's been since, from what I understand, it was like around the advent of when I read this book about the Axiom Revolution when they started. It was like a big change in the almost like a an event horizon kind of a big change in like the world systems at the time and there was like lots of peace, but then like I think it was like the people, I don't know who these people were. I forget what group it was. Like they started being able to like I don't know if horses were domesticated at that point, but they were like using horses and then they were going to like raid people's like raid other towns and to like rape and pillage because they had this like newfound power from like being able to like easily move from place to place.
Yeah. See, I've heard it put. in another way that dates it back way longer,
Mm.
the axiom revolution, and this is like I'm quoting our mutual friend Christian here, and he said something that was pretty mind-blowing to me. And he was saying that in the human species, there are those who evolved from chimpanzees. And chimpanzees are like really, they're pretty warlike, they regularly are like in these little groups and
Mm.
they're always battling each other out. And then even within that group, there's like a strict hierarchy of things and they're always battling it out. And then there are bonobos, which bonobos, they figured out um, conflict resolution that just involves sex. And he said, this is quote unquote what he was saying. He's like, I'm not saying we have to have sex with each other, but what I am saying is that other species have figured out conflict resolution besides going to war with itself. And if we look at evolution of like, okay, did we really evolve from apes? I mean, there's like there's the theological argument that we didn't, and there's the scientific, argument that we did. And so, but I don't know, it sort of makes sense to me of like, there are people that I met that are just really conflict orientated by their nature. And then there are people who are just like looking to do something different. I like to call those people hobbits because they're much different. They're just like more about like going about their daily business and their daily lives and like eating good food and like being around other people who like share these similar interests of peace. And I like to say I'm more of like a hobbit than anything else.
Yeah, I guess just what comes up for me when you say that is thinking about, right, from evolution. I think not the way that we have to evolve, but one really helpful way is to like include and transcend. So
Hmm.
absorb the stuff that maybe, my hand keeps going up, absorb the stuff that maybe was worthwhile and successful and get rid of the rest, but to include everything. Or, in a way that like, I see you, I accept it was this way, and hey, let's do it a better way.
Yeah, I think that's actually like a really mature way of handling things. I think that in our current state of affairs, we find ourselves in a really very dangerous situation, considering like we have enough nuclear weapons to just blow everyone up to Kingdom Come. And I think that it's really imperative for us as a species to start learning how to resolve conflict that doesn't involve violence. Because I think there's always gonna be some kind of conflict, right? But like I mean, get 10 people in a room together and like have them decide what to eat. You know, like, but that doesn't mean like I'm gonna then shoot a hole for you because like you said pizza and I said hot dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I don't think like the point is maybe necessarily to get rid of all conflict, but maybe just being able to like address it in a way that doesn't make more conflict. Right. I'm not sure if like if you can get rid of all conflict if when you have, I don't know, more than one person. Even within yourself. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the conflict here, and we're conflicted because we've been a part of conflicted families, societies, systems, structures, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, though. Would we not have conflict if that weren't the case?
I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. I don't think like I don't think we'll ever really get rid of conflict in the sense of like um
Like what you were just saying, like, I want to eat pizza and you want chicken.
yeah, I don't mean
What are we gonna do?
conflict as in like it's gonna come to blows or it's gonna be like an argument or like that kind of confrontational attitude. I just mean like as far as like just resolving differences and like not resorting to violence because of it. And I just mean that as a species level.
Yeah. Or not only violence too, but right, like manipulation and weird power dynamic stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
good.
using power over people in terms of like resources and things like that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. But anyway, we were talking about sanctuary, and before we get way far off of
I don't think
that,
we're that far off. I think it all
well,
ties into
just
it.
well, I mean, it ties into we were talking about the conflict, and sanctuary is would it be say like if you said like the antithesis or a solution?
Yeah, yeah, I like that solution.
Yeah, it's a way to help reframe and reorient everything what we've been taught and based on a truer framework for the universe. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna just invoke the sanctuary. So, invoking is to just draw our attention to it, our awareness to it, and connect with it. And so the sanctuary has four tenets. And the first one is that God, source, spirit, universe is in, through, and all around. And that is a universal principle. So it applies to everyone and everything that exists within the universe. And that time is infinite and space is eternal. And those two things together, it creates a stability in the field that we exist in, like the field of energy that we all exist in. And that's a really helpful thing for us um, to have stability, to have the feeling of safety, which is, I think, a big thing that people are always looking for, talking about this conflict. I think that's one of those things that leads to a lot of those weird power dynamics and stuff like that, and controlling, etc. Anyway, getting off of the tenants. And then with God, we create a state that it becomes self-healing, self-grounding, self-harmonizing, self-orienting, and self-balancing. And those are like five simultaneous states that happen all at the same time. And they all happen, and it's what's needed for healing. And the more we practice sanctuary, the more it just becomes something that happens. That's the self part of it. And then we are infinitely protected and safe through source, the universe, God, and spirit.
eloquently put. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were talking about really how that can be used as a solution, and I know it starts within the self.
Yeah, for sure.
And really the conflict within the self gets reorientated with the third tenet to the healing, which just helps to solve and get better that conflict within the self and really does bring about the solution. And with that healing and these simultaneous states, it's achieving the grounding, or excuse me, it's achieving that orientation, that reorientation, that healing, the balancing, the harmonizing, and the grounding, so that really that conflict can just stop being so conflicted.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Not being like crossed and twisted and everything, just being able to flow in a way where there's a lot more ease. I think you could like, yeah, I mean, and if you feel safer too, right, then you could maybe hear someone else's perspective easier and yeah, just overall be, yeah, oriented to something other than the conflict.
I think I mean, I don't want to say it's like the big thing or like the biggest thing, but it's like something that really has helped me to understand um, God or the universe or spirit, like you said, like using those words synonymously with itself as like this punishing force that I was taught through religion and through other people that that's what this force is like a punishing God, a punishing force, and all of these things. And it just reorientates that to, you know, in both theological terms of God or religious terms of God, and like the shamanic term of spirit, and like the scientific term of universe. And it relates it to all of these words in language that are really just symbols for this exact phenomena that we're talking about, and helps me to understand that really this phenomena that we're talking about isn't some separate being, but it's just like the beingness of everything.
Mm, yeah, I like that. The beingness of everything. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for reorienting to everyone recognizing that.
Same here. Same here. I think it's like I think it's super important and is something that has been positive in my life to really understand that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, for me, it definitely is having a relationship with God and source and spirit, and sometimes those things being, um, even though I know they're all synonyms or synonymous, it all being separate still in my head, or in even the way that I relate to each one kind of individually.
And has that been changing? Has that been redefining for you? How's your experience been with that?
I honestly didn't realize just until right now that I was still relating to them all as a separate thing. I mean, before we started recording, I was sharing how, as part of that alchemy somatic healer training that I'm a part of, one of the asks that we agreed to at the start of the program was to hold a greater context for the work that we're doing and that we are supported by the universe. And I was sharing with you how I felt I was kind of on the fence about that, thinking like, am I supported by the universe? But then if I were to ask myself, am I supported by God? I would say, fuck yeah. And then if I would say, am I supported by spirit? I would say, fuck yeah. And here we are talking about how God and source and spirit and the universe are all the same thing. So, so then there's, I don't know if it's like, I don't want to say it's like an illogical part of myself, but there is some, I don't know if it's a part or a thought or what, belief that, yeah, needs, I don't know if it needs to reorient or just, yeah, get on board with the, with that I'm supported by the universe as well.
Yeah, I noticed that with, I mean, for lack of a better term, my own bullshit is becoming more aware of my own bullshit. I don't want to call it bullshit,
Yeah,
but
what do you mean? Do you have like a specific example?
yeah, just like I don't know, like sometimes like my own negative attitudes,
Hmm.
or like my own false beliefs. Um, yeah, specifically those two things. Um, as I become aware of them, uh, understanding that I can just reorientate those things has been really big for me. Of oh, okay, I have like some kind of false belief right now. Oh, okay. And it's not like yesterday I was freaking out because I was like on hold with the bank for no joke about 4.5 hours, and like the whole call took me about 5 hours total just to get like a problem solved that took about 10 minutes to solve. And I was freaking out. I was like livid, like veins were coming out of my neck. I was like screaming, like, just give me a human being, like to the goddamn robot on the phone. And now I'm thinking, like, oh my goodness, like I just really needed to sit there and reorientate it. Like, I don't think like that the anger probably would have gone away, but perhaps like um, I wouldn't have been freaking out as much. But that's kind of like hindsight's 2020 type of thing. But I do notice like when I can catch myself and like mentally say, okay, there's this like specific energy within me that I'm conflicted about, and I really need to reorientate that. It needs healing, it needs balancing, it needs harmonizing, and it needs grounding. And I've noticed how like those five pillars have been serving uh it's been just serving me better in how I live. Of like asking myself, like, okay, is this all of tenet three of like what I'm doing right now? Yes? All right, let's keep going with it. If it's not, then I just need to reorientate it.
Yeah, that's powerful, the reorientation. And yeah, a lot of it is just looking at something differently. Just having like a slightly different view or knowing there's another perspective. It is frustrating to have to deal with the problem for 5 hours and to talk to a computer or a robot. I get
Yeah.
frustrated when the robot's in my way at the grocery store. I'm like,
Oh
why
God,
do I have to, what?
Marty.
Yeah. Why does he have the same name
Marty.
at all the grocery stores?
It's always in the way too. It's like it's
Yeah.
like it'll cut you off.
Yeah, I'm like, why do I have to give the like, why do I even have to pause for a robot? Like, come on, Marty. They should have made you smarter.
Yeah.
My kids love Marty though. James loves to like find him when he's at the grocery store.
I would just like want to kick Marty over. When I lived in Pennsylvania, it would always be in the way.
Maybe we need to 10 and 3 that.
Definitely
That
be
you don't
Marty.
want to be kicking over the robot at the grocery store. Imagine you got like ejected from the grocery store and couldn't shop there anymore because you beat up their robot.
Yeah, that would not be good. But kicking Marty over might be a little satisfying, I'm gonna say.
Maybe. It might hurt your foot. I don't know. It's like a
I don't
pretty
know, just
solid,
like,
it's a pretty solid robot.
oh yeah, it'd be nice to Marty in like 10 years, it's gonna be like something else.
I know. Well, maybe in 10 years, Marty will be doing my grocery shopping. I'm gonna go to the grocery store and look at Marty and say, "You two are created in with God in through and all around you."
Hey, you know what? It wouldn't be false.
No, it would not.
I know, that's why I always went to Wegmans. I got too tired of Marty.
They don't have a robot at Wegmans.
Oh, no robot. Yeah, yeah, I I think that if more people would understand this, that and the more people would practice it, because it takes a little bit of work, to like reorientate your own behavior, but to like have that framework to do so that's really grounded in the truth that the universe is in through and all around you, and like now you said this before, but like you're not a separate being from the universe. You are it, and yeah, I think you know that would lead to a lot less conflict worldwide. Although I can't really say like for sure like everyone's gonna be on board with it, but I
Yeah, I
think that
mean, I think people are going to be at all different all different points, right? Depending on where they're coming from. Some people might need, they might work on tenet one for a while, understanding that God is in them and not separate from them, or that, you know, that even the universe is a part of them and not separate from them.
yeah,
I know I
yeah,
have family members that traditionally in, from a religious perspective, learn, you know, that God is something separate, that and that even spirit, like God and the Holy Spirit, is something that's separate from us. I think, you know, and I could speak for me and you because I know the work that you were doing, and I know the work that I had been doing for, I mean, most of my adult life now at this point. It was working on that understanding of that, like, I'm not separate from God. So to then, have tenet one, God in, through, and all around, I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, that makes total sense. I get it. But I think also for other people, it could be something that isn't as easily understood. And even that could take, yeah, take, I don't know, work, re-education, reorientation, whatever that word there is.
Yeah, it could just take some time, and then that leads
Yeah.
into, tenant two, where it's like, well, okay, you take as much time as you really need.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think going to 10 and 3, right? Like you're talking about, like, I'm just recognizing this behavior, like, hey, no big deal. But I mean, that's a lot for people to have that self-awareness. It could be a lot for some people to have the self-awareness. I know I certainly have some behaviors where I might not even recognize that I'm doing it.
Yeah, likewise, the subconscious, unconscious behaviors that takes work then to be able to recognize it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it's even subconscious or unconscious. Like, there's clearly some stuff I'm doing every once in a while that I'm not even recognizing, like or maybe like the unconscious or subconscious, like motivators, or even like going out, recognizing how, oh, that's a pattern that I do with other things, or I mean, that's a pattern that I do, that's a pattern that's associated. I'm not saying this right. There's a pattern there and there and there and there, and all those patterns are the same, right? I mean, sometimes it could take a while. You don't always see these things, right? Like that conscious awareness of some of these automatic things you're doing.
Yeah, I think people in the world of psychology would probably describe that as either unconscious or subconscious. Now, is that what it is? I don't really know. But how do you recognize that?
Ask.
Ask.
Yeah, I think you have to ask to recognize it. I think, I don't know, doing practices that bring you self-awareness, journaling, breath work, taking time to literally listen to your thoughts, taking time to go through your day and notice where you're triggered. Or every day I get mad when I get the kids in the car. That used to happen to me, and like I didn't recognize it until I was like talking about it with someone. I hated 4 o'clock, like getting the kids out of daycare and like putting them in the car. It was really hard and frustrating. So yeah, like, just like taking an inventory of your day and noticing those points where like every day you're like,
That's good advice. I like that.
yeah, I mean, it's really practical stuff, I think. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be like you have this whole like elaborate, like energetic, spiritual, blah, blah, blah practice. It could just be kind of like literally like asking to bring mindfulness to that stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Taking notes of like where you feel frustrated in your daily life, seeing where the common occurrences are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like like as we're talking about, a solution for that then could just be, using the sanctuary to be able to then to reorientate that. Also, I've been practicing too of just telling God to, you know, help me out here and, you know, uh, help me out with like certain behaviors that I have that are, I just don't think in alignment with my greatest good anymore. of like diet and like certain frustrations that I have, or false beliefs that I know that I had. And not even like not even asking for it anymore. Just like, no, God, take this. Done with it.
Yeah.
Don't want it anymore.
Commanding God.
Yeah, and I always find like that's kind of like a funny term too, of like commanding type of thing, like top down, kind of
Yeah, but it
like,
doesn't have to be that way. It's like I'm standing here eye to eye with you, God. I know I'm doing my part. And I think it comes with that, like, yeah, like a humility and a respect of like, I know I'm putting the part, I am upholding my part here. So give me the help that I'm like humbly asking for, even though I'm commanding it, right? It's not like that either, because that's not great either. Whether one up or one down, either way, it's not truthful,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
I'm thinking about it in terms of like they did this experiment with water where they would speak into the water and then they would look at the water with some kind of observation tool, and they with certain water would speak into it like loving words and like kind words, and for the loving one and for like the joyous one and for like the happy words, it would have like these really beautiful fractals. And then they did ones where they were speaking negatively into the water, and they would it would the molecules of the water would look like these like oozing kind of like gross things, right? And so like I've been thinking about it in terms of that, of okay, God, universe, spirit is in through and all around, and in through and all around me is molecules. My body's made of it, and then there's molecules of the air. So I'm literally going to be, as I'm speaking, reshaping all of that. So like for me, it's an important practice to say these things out loud instead of just keeping them inside my head. Because if I'm just keeping them inside my head, it's just like staying, within there. And I don't know if like that's completely true or not. I'm still sort of exploring that, but that's the way I am framing it anymore. Of like, okay, I want to like be very clear about what it is that like either I need help with from God or the universe, or what it is that I want, and if that's really in alignment with myself and my highest
Mm,
good.
yeah. Yeah, I see those as two different things though. At first we were talking about God and how we could get into this like a one up or one down, kind of like idealizing, which I think is quite common, right? Like we're not on a level playing field with God. And perhaps we're really not. I mean, I don't want to like overstep, and I know God has like a lot more power than I think I myself, than my own personal power. But so there's that. And then I also hear you saying, I'm saying these things out loud. So there's like more of a feeling tone that I could receive from that versus just saying it inside so it's not like as resonant, or is that is that what I heard you saying?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
and the way I was thinking about it is like I want that I want my intentions to be permeating like in my body and then going out of it. Like if I have the intention of releasing self-sabotaging behaviors, like I want that to be a residence within my body,
Yeah.
and I want the molecules around me to be all supporting that too. Like
Okay.
every molecule of air, I want to be supporting me in this journey of releasing all of my self-sabotaging behaviors.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I was just like thinking about it in like terms of water, like okay, water takes on, like when you speak into it, the molecules will shift according to what it is that you're speaking to it. Scientifically proven. You can measure it. I find that fascinating, and so I've just been conceiving of it like, okay, the air is just like that too.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to what you're saying, that the fact that, right, you don't have to like, not that you don't have to ask God, but it is more just a recognition of the the power that your creativity has, along with the power that God's creativity has, because we're not doing any of that alone.
No, we're not.
And it's like, so the antidote to the idealized is right, like, well, it's human, but eye to eye and heart to heart. So, you know, just
Yeah,
like on a level playing field with God. And we all are. It's not like one person has like the codes.
right.
Although
No,
some people do like to talk about the codes that they have. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they have them, I don't know. I
they
see that on social media a lot.
I don't know what it is.
I know, I'm not sure what people are talking about either. They're codes.
Mm, yeah, I'm not too sure on all that myself, but no, I love that eye to eye, ear to ear, heart to heart with God. It's a beautiful notion.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, why not? Doesn't I don't think like you said, like I mean my understanding of God anymore, and maybe it'll change in time, but like with the in through and all around. Now, if you really imagine that with like everything, like every plant, every animal, every human, every mountain, every river, every molecule of earth, every planet, every star, every galaxy, everything known and unknown, and there's an intelligence to that. That is how I have been conceiving of God. And like that real divine intelligence of God. So like my intelligence is just like what's in here, like what's in my body, right? Like what my brain can produce in light. But like, God's intelligence, oh my God, it's just like so vast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to come across as right again, like putting myself above.
No, you're not. I didn't get that from you.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
no, yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
get
because
that
I
from
mean, I recognize that as well. Like there is something that's just infinitely more powerful than I myself am capable of.
Yeah, and I think, like what you're saying, you weren't saying like top down, like commanding like that. Um, it's just the use of language, right? Like the word command. It's just the use of language. But more so just I think of like using your intention to vibrate at a certain resonancy of like that of like your divine intelligence, knowing that like you're knowledgeable about yourself, you're knowledgeable about the universe, and then there's like this the divine intelligence of everything. And yeah, that's what I'm calling God. Is just like that true divine intelligence of knowing everything about everyone and everything. It's powerful.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, I don't know. I guess just thinking about it in a way of for us to take back some of our own agency that has been taken from us as being separate from God, but right, not being in the delusion that like I'm as powerful as God. But yes, I can also at the same time be on like somewhat of a level playing field with God, and I don't have to talk to God as if I'm like, please, please help me. It could be like, let's do this.
Yeah, I love that. I'm on board for that. And yeah, I absolutely love that of like, really taking back your own divine power and understanding your own divine being and understanding that we're made of God and that we can, with our intentions, really guide our own path. And we can be then supported, by this universe. We could be supported by God in in this pursuit. And I mean, the pursuit that I'm like totally on board with is just like awakening to my own divine intelligence and understanding God a little bit more in the ways that I can. Even though
Mm.
I don't really think I'm fully gonna ever be able to understand it fully because I can never be fully everything all at once, right? Like, no, I'm just like this guy in this body right now. And perhaps, like my soul is much older than that. I could definitely conceive of that, but I don't think then my soul is like all of God. I still think it's like just my soul.
Yeah. I again, we've kind of like talking around this. Yeah, I think there is just something bigger that we're a part of that we're not like fully all of. But yet, right, not lim I don't know if that it doesn't actually like limit us in any way. It's just it's almost like a boundary that like we haven't yet crossed or haven't yet experienced. And I don't know if in yeah, maybe in this lifetime you can experience all of it or in over the course of a lifetime can you experience it all fully? I don't know.
I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been there yet either. But I'll
I
play
don't,
that game to like figure it out. Or not to figure it out, but to experience it. Like,
yeah, yeah, I'm game for that too. And goes back to tenet three of the healing, the balancing, and all of it. Of really the first tenet of understanding that truth that the universe is just ever present, always there. It's always in through and all around you, me, everyone, and everything. And and for me, that's been spiritually healing.
yeah, I mean, I think that's really healing. It's like an actual truth that that's supportive. It's like a foundational almost right.
Yeah,
You know, it's like something that we all have the right to experience. And yet we're all I mean, I think from what I experience of other people, everyone's at a varying kind of place in that, whether they know it to be true or not. I've been thinking about that recently. It's, interesting. There are some like energetic, and then I understand energy is more of like we were just talking about on the air, like there's a lot of things that couldn't be known to people at a certain at a certain point in time based on like science or based on our current level of understanding or technology or whatever it is. And so, something like energy, there wasn't always that scientific understanding. Perhaps there was like shamanic knowledge of it or like Eastern knowledge, but there wasn't always, or indigenous knowledge, but there maybe wasn't always like a scientific knowledge that's what some people have. So, we didn't know energy is foundational. And then there's, again, I'm talking about the spiritual, right? Whereas that was always kind of presented as, I don't, not always, but in some cultures or I don't even know if it's cultures. Let's just say cultures so I don't have to go into all the different words. But right, that was presented as something that's separate. And then also we have like the energetic, like emotional things that are pretty foundational, but yet we're always kind of separate, like this mind-body separation that we seem to have. So there's all these things that are very like foundational to us as being alive that we're now kind of coming to light. Like, oh, like I'm going to a whole training to learn to teach people or and to help guide people like on how to like feel a feeling.
Yeah, I mean that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful, but it's also kind of, I don't know, it's yeah, just realizing now like how many foundational things that we're just now like waking up to and learning and understanding.
Yeah, and I really think too that like the like it- it's an awakening of something that's like really old.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ said that the kingdom of God is within you. And I think like there's just been more steps to expound upon that. Of like, yeah, in you, okay, it's in through and all around you too, right? And
Yeah, I
then
mean,
like,
and some people are still like, okay, even though like they think they're going to get to the kingdom of heaven when they die, like, and then it'll be something you're a part of, even though there is that teaching.
yeah, yeah, right. I mean, most religions that are based on Christ's teachings are not about Christ's teachings whatsoever, from my experience. That's just sort of like an aside. But I'm really interested to see like where these consciousness technologies take us in the future. And we have this like scientific technology, and I think that these consciousness technologies are going to really unify just all of it, the whole field of it. I hope anyway. Hopefully we don't blow ourselves up until then.
Before the consciousness technologies could fully root.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the potential for everyone blowing up has been around. Not to make light of it. I
No,
mean,
I mean I laugh at it because I don't know what else to say. Because ultimately it's just kind of sad. Because
yeah.
when we're dealing with some heavy shit.
No, I mean, shit certainly is heavy. I feel like it's been that way though, right? I mean, so I feel like generation after generation probably has looked at what's going on for them in like in what was the present moment and being like what the fuck? Like things are really bad,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Jesus was thinking that in his time,
Oh, I'm sure.
and not to minimize what's happening now or what was happening then, but I think across lifetimes people could have that general unfortunate observation.
Yeah, I mean our species has been at war with itself for probably since we were chimpanzees in the forest, unfortunately. And I think though that consciousness technologies like sanctuary consciousness and the use of sanctuary is a way to solve that. And I think change our behavior as a species at a really core level.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the consciousness is foundational for us for existing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess just like anything else, it had to evolve. Almost like talking about not having an understanding of the spiritual, energetic, emotional type realms, like that, our understanding of what a human is and the dimensions of a human had to evolve as well.
I mean, I know in times of my life I would have really looked at like what spirituality is and like all of these different practices and see them somehow as separate. But anymore, I'm just seeing how really the term spirituality just sort of unifies all all of these different things, even like the spiritual practice of science, it's like it's still a spiritual practice from my understanding of it anymore.
Yeah, same. I mean, everything is spiritual.
Well, is there anything else you would like to say about what
You
we were
know, what just popped into my head is I think I've been looking at miracles that way too, and that like every single thing that exists is miraculous. Like looking at those things through a more universal lens as well.
Yeah, like there's one Earth. Think about that. There's just one Earth, there's just one you, there's just one me, there's just one of everybody on this Earth, there's just one of everything, and there's really, there's not a clone out there.
No.
There's no parallel universe.
And the things that exist are like extraordinary, you know? Like look at the animals, like a giraffe or a jellyfish or a starfish. Like what an imagination to have created a being that or beings that look the way they do and behave the way they do.
Yeah, I mean, a waterfall, right? A river. These things definitely are miracles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean everything is.
Miraculous creation of God.
Yeah, thank God.
God. We got to do like a mega church. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, God.
Come in on like a
Maybe we need
moment.
another word for that. Just like I need to come up with the phrase that's not guys. Hi guys. Not girls. And not family either. I think it's almost like where you come to a neutral place. Like you got to take family out of that because I think for like some people family's not a
Hello,
very
you.
neutral concept. Hello, universal miracle being.
Why not?
I don't know, that is getting kind of like wordy as well. Guys, hey guys.
Uh,
Oh, you know
I,
what oh, sorry, go on.
oh no, I was gonna say like the taste of a banana. How miraculous is that?
Not a really like black one though. Those are gross.
Yeah,
Like a too
yeah.
sweet banana.
Okay, everything's a miracle, but the
But
but
the
the the
but the
overripe
really ripe
banana.
ones.
Not those things.
Definitely not those. And not the really green ones either.
Yeah, no,
That are hard. You gotta get them just right.
gotta
Although
get it right.
yeah, I think there is quite a long in between a long in between phase for a banana, just not on either side of the extreme. Although those could be good for smoothies, the ones that are very ripe, overripe.
There you go.
I like to put those in the freezer.
Miracle smoothie.
Don't freeze them with the skin on though. Then that's just a big pain in the ass.
Oh, I know. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say that I was thinking about my cells and thinking about how even like inside of the cell is sanctuary.
And throwing all around.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cells, all of the body, the organs, the cells, the molecules, the atoms. Yeah, I mean, it really attunes you to health and like what's really good for your health. Not saying like it's going to like cure all diseases or anything like that. There is really no cure all, but like it really helps you attune your consciousness to, balancing out, harmonizing, and like really being grounded to what is ultimately going to be healthy for you. And that in and of itself can be a healing and a reorientation from one state of being to another.
Mm. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, right? I mean, like, okay, if you are really, if you're really focusing on the tenet three of balancing, harmonizing, healing, grounding, and orientating, and you are focusing on that while you're cooking and eating, you're going to have foods that are going to be ultimately healthy for you. Or if it's going to be like an exercise routine, or like what time to go to bed, how much water to drink, etc., etc. It just like permeates.
Mm. Okay, so you're saying if you are maybe more consciously asking yourself these things, like what do I want to eat, or how do I want to exercise, or should I go to bed now?
Yeah,
And putting them into 10 and 3, then it'll almost naturally find a healthy set point.
yeah, yeah. That's something that I've been actually like really learning these past few months and days.
That's cool. Well, you should put your what food choices are best for me into there. Sanctuary, what body type is do I need to aspire to?
A healthy body type.
Whatever that may be on the inside,
Yeah.
one that's all in alignment with sanctuary.
Yeah. Well, we've come to about an hour, and I could tell that this Zoom call is starting to get sort of scrambled here. I don't know if my internet's going to be shutting
Take a
down.
big take a big deep breath.
Yeah, so let's end it here, and we shall, I'm sure, continue with this conversation in another time.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Make sure that you like and subscribe, leave a comment, share this episode with your friends, all of the things.
Also on Spotify, and might be a little hard to find, but type in "Evolving the Conversation" and scroll for a little bit, and we're still working on getting the episodes on there, and we will be on other platforms soon. And I'll put a link in the description for the mystery school if you want to continue learning further about what we have been talking about today. So thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Melissa. Bye.